Today we're looking at aftermarket replacement fuel gauge sender for Type 1 Volkswagen. This happens to be a 1970, but I think up until about 67 the gas gauge was get the Jeep. As I was saying, Volkswagen originally had a mechanical gas gauge with a cable, and then they changed, like every other car, to electric gas gauge. There's a simple system of a wiper and a resistor track, and the one in the car now we were fooling with, and after that the wires in the resistor track broke, and I can't explain how that happened. So this substitute I got from a local full-line independent auto parts store, and the brand name is Euromax, which sounds like a porn movie. Get the Honda. Did you get the Honda? A lot of traffic today on the street. Anyway, there you can see the part number. And before I install this, I'm going to throw caution to the wind and run that same experiment. See at the empty if the needle lines up with the E inside the car, and at the full that the needle lines up with the F inside the car. I'm kind of concerned that you can see the float cannot possibly go up this high, and I'm not sure I want it striking the top of the gas tank. So I may reshape this arm or bend these tabs to prevent that. And I would like to know precisely when I'm going to run out of gas, so I may engage in some adjustment there. Of course, that's how we ruined the previous sender. And this was about $60. Now, the local Volkswagen shops had the genuine VDO one. This one is not, for $100 and $140. And maybe I should have gone that route, but any three of those stores I like to support, and I went with the nearest guy and got the non-VDO $60 option. So as before, we'll hook up the wires. Got the power supply. We'll create a ground with this alligator clip. And at this point, I will take the camera, and my assistant will report on the position of the gas gauge needle inside the car. Excuse me. I have the car hooked up to a battery charger for a more consistent test. So how's that gas gauge needle look? Is it moving?
Moving to empty.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see where it winds up, which could take a little while. As I mentioned in the other fuel sender video, there's a power regulator attached to the back of the speedometer. It sends power to the gas gauge consistently regardless of the battery voltage. If you think about it, your gas gauge on just about any car is remarkably reliable, and in my experience they all use a power regulator of some sort. This, I've never taken it apart, but I presume it uses points inside to send pulses of electricity, longer pulses when the voltage is low and shorter pulses when the voltage is high, for a consistent power regulation. So where'd it come to rest?
Almost empty. Very.
It's kind of interesting because this car always ran out of gas when it was showing almost empty, so that might be more a aspect of the gas gauge itself than the sender, and something I may have to live with. Now I'm going to move this up to full And we'll get a report on where the needle winds up at full. Well, it should continue moving up towards full. You know, in the darkness here, did it line up precisely with the mark?
Now is over full.
That's kind of interesting. Well, it's getting dark here, which is very unfortunate. Notice also there's these tabs I'm trying to indicate with my ring finger to limit the travel of this arm. So I may engage in bending the tabs to try and put the needle precisely on the F and the E, if that's practical. But I apologize for this video in that the sun has gone down and we're not really getting a good picture. So I'll end it here. Thanks, and be sure and watch my other videos.